All right, perfect. So recording has started. Let's go quickly just to remind you about what we've covered till now. This is the lecture that we discussed the previous class. So we talked about simple example, simple program. Then we talked about the escape and writing your program. We took this practice and we solved it. This is the answer of this program or this example. Now we will talk about something which is very important in your in our course, in the object-oriented programming in general. So this example also we solved it, and you have it now. Now the data type, I think everybody now is aware of the data type. We talked about different kind of data type. We have integer, float, character, string, double, boolean, etc. The arithmetic operations also plus, minus, multiplication, division, and modulo. Okay. Comparison, you can compare it using less than or equal, greater than or equal and not equal. And the control statement, if the if and else if also, I think you remember it, but it's good idea if I think we covered this an example, the if statement, the previous example. Yeah, I can see that we covered it. Here the if statement. We use the if statement if n greater than n2, if n equal n2, if n1 less than n2, and we executed this program and we saw how it works. Now we will move to something which is very important, which is the function. I prefer to add a blank slide so we can scratch. Okay, so the function, why we need a function and what is the function and how to write your function. Now function allows the programmer to modulize program. For example, till now we have written all our code in the function integer main, and we put everything here, right? So now sometimes there's some code here. You use it several times in the code. So the repeated code and some other functionality, I can move this outside, or I prefer not at the end. I put it at the beginning and create a function that does this functionality, this code. With example, things will be very much easier. So you will divide it and modulize the program into modules so that you can use the function or use the same code many times. Now in function, we have something called local variables, not only in the function in which they are defined. This is in the declaration. Okay, I go here. I'll give you an example, then we will go back to that slide. So suppose that you want to write here include IOStream. Okay, then I'll leave space to write functions or not now. Integer main. Okay, here if I want to, for example, use some code several times, I'll define integer x equals 5. Then I will write cout the value is x and end line, of course, ndl. Okay, then for example, integer y equals 7, then cout again the value is y endl, and so on. Now, if you can see here, I'm repeating the same code several times, and sometimes the code will be more than one instruction. This was just one instruction, which is sort of easy, but it's repeated several times here. So in this case, it's better to take all the repeated course and create a function that you can use directly. You can call it directly. For example, I'll add another integer z equal 12, then see out the value is z end line and so on. Return 0, and that's it. This is the program. Now this program will define 3 variables, 3 integers, and print these integers. Now, to solve this issue, or to make my program easier, I will check the repeated code and create a function that can do the same thing when I call it. I need another slide, so I'll keep this. I'll add another slide so I can write the program. Sorry. Okay. Now, if you can see this, as I told you, this part, this code, and this code, and this one are repeated, and maybe it will be repeated several times. So I can take them and create a new function. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do in creating a function, of course, after include IOStream, we forgot here using namespace. std. Okay, include IOStream, then using, I'll leave it, you'll add it. Then here I can write a function. Okay, so I'll use another color. You can define the function. How to define the function? The function has a name. For example, I'll call the function PR for print. Okay, the function needs argument. Of course, not always. We'll take the 3 types of functions and we will discuss them soon. So in this case, I'm going to print an integer x, or whatever the name is, and the function needs to return value. Before going to in details, we will just write this function. Now here, cout the value is x endl, and that's it. Okay, I've created a function. Here it doesn't return any value, so I'll use it as defined as void. Now in the main function, integer main, here if I have integer x equals 5, then I don't need to write the code again. I'll just call the function PR of x. Okay, integer y equals 7, PR of y. Integer z equals 12, PR of z. You can use it anytime, any number of times you want. So now the execution will be like this. In the main function, we said the compiler will search for the main function to start execution. Then it comes here and define x equals 5. Then PR. That's why I wrote it here. By the way, you can write it at the end of the code, but that needs some kind of declaration and prototype, etc. So avoid this. To make things simple, we'll write them at the beginning of the code. So it will check that I'm calling a function called PR. Then it will take the argument x, this x, and will go there, put x with the value 5, then execute this one, which is printing, and at the end it will go back to the next instruction. Okay, so again, when it finds the name of the function, it will go and execute the function, then it will continue from the next line of the main function. Then it comes here, integer y equals 7. It will define y. Then it finds another PR call. Then it will go again and execute it and come back and comes back and continue execution. Integer z equal 12. Here we are calling it again. All right. So that means it will go again and call the function. So whenever I use the name of the function, it will go and call it and execute it. This will be written. I write an example to you, and we will see it. So this is the function. Now we have define a definition which is local variables. Local variables, if you can see here in the function, we defined x, while also here we defined x. There's no relationship between this x and this x. Why? Because this is local variable and this is local variable. The compiler knows this variable only inside these brackets or braces. All right. Outside, it will not identify this. We call these are local variables. All right. So this is the definition of local variable. Parameters. Local variables passed when the function is called that provide the function with outside information. Here, this is called parameters. We can add more than parameter. These are the parameters, or sometimes they are calling it, or they call it arguments. Okay. So this is all about the function. The best way is to take examples to understand it. This is just to explain the things again. So create customized function, take in data, perform operation, and return result. This is the role of the function. So if I have a program, I have this program. This program contains some functions, F1, F2, F3, okay? And I have main function here. So the main function can call any of these functions anytime it needs, all right? And of course, it passes argument, it passes parameters, and get result from the function. That's why I have three types of functions. We will discuss them one by one now. So from the function, format the function, return value type. What is the value or the returned value? Then function name. You can call it a meaningful name, and parameter list. Here, declaration and statement. For example, integer, this is a function, square of integer y. This is the return value, this is the name of the function, and this is the list of parameters. Here, only one parameter. All right. Function prototype. Here, if you don't want to declare or to define the function at the beginning of the program, if you can see here as in the previous example, I define the functions here, and I say this is the main function. Right? Sometimes you can define them at the end of the program here. These are the functions, and this is the main. In this case, for example, this F1, F2, F3, etc. In this case, you have to declare the function here. How to declare it? For example, if I have a function, I will not write the name of the variables. I'll just write integer, maximum of integer, and semicolon. All right. I prefer not to use this approach. I like this one, to write the function at the beginning to avoid such kind of complexity. All right. So types of function. There are several types of function. I myself divide them into four types. Okay. The first one is does not take arguments and does not return value. We will take example for every one of these functions. Take arguments and does not return value. Does not take arguments and return values. Take arguments and return values. All right. So these are the four types of functions. Here I left an empty space just to write the functions for of every type. So the first one does not take argument and does not return value. That means I have a function here. Okay, function, let's call it f1. Okay, when I call it from the main, when I write f1, I don't need to send any arguments and I will get nothing from the function. For example, printing to the screen. So as an example, I prefer to type it to you. I'll keep it. Okay. Here, as example, write a program that prints your name. Write a function that prints your name when it's called in the main function. Okay. Now it's required from you to write a function that prints your name when it's called. Now I'm asking you, do I need to pass any argument to the function? Of course, or instead of your name, prints hello when it's called. Okay, when you call the function, it will print the word hello. So I don't need to pass any argument to the function. I just call it, it will print a message, and that's it. And it doesn't return any values. So I prefer to execute it here. I'll start with include IOStream, then here using namespace std. Okay. Here you can write the function. Okay, so before writing anything, you return 0, just preparing this. Here I write the function. Now, for example, I'll call the function say hi. All right. Oh, here I don't need to pass any argument, and the function will print out hello, and then ENDL. That's it. Now, since it will not return any value, just like here, if you can see the main function, I have integer and I have return value, but here I don't have. So I will consider the type as void. All right. Now, inside the main function, when you want to call the function, just write the name, say hi. I can write, call it any number of times. Say hi again. Okay, say hi third time. So if I execute it, it will call the say hi 3 times, and we will see the execution. Let's execute it. Run. All right, perfect. Why nothing? What's happened? I think we lost the function, the program, right? Something happened. Yeah. So this is the execution. I'll run it again. Yes, this is the execution. See, whenever I call the function, it prints hello, and that's it. Okay. If you want to change the message, for example, okay, of course you can add any message you want. See, again, we didn't send any argument. We didn't receive anything. It just printed some thing to the screen when we execute it. Now, if I execute it again, it will. So this is the first type of function. I'll just cut it and paste it there as an example to see other types of functions. All right, so this is the first program. Okay, remember that we defined the function here. I'll just go to this. We defined the function here, okay, and we called the function from here. But here we didn't send any argument and we didn't get any data. We just printed the message to the screen. Of course, here also we need to put X. Okay, this is the first type. Doesn't take any arguments, doesn't return any value. The second type takes argument and does not return a value. Give me an idea. Give me any example in your mind. Any ideas? For me, I think the printing function is an example of this. Why? Take arguments. I have the main function here. I have this function, okay, and I have the main function. The main function will pass argument, but it will not get any result from the argument. So that means there is no return, and the type is void. Okay, so let's take an example. Also here, I'll give you an example. Write a function that prints or prints a double or a real number when passed from the main function. Okay, so I want to write a function that prints a real number. The real number, it's better to real number passed to it from the main function. That means I'm going to send a real number to this function, and the function will just print the real number, and that's it. Okay, so what I'll do here, again, I'll go to the compiler. I don't have it here. I didn't call it yet. Okay, so from the idea, I want to write a function that receives a real number. That means first give me a name for the function. Let's call it prnt or print. Okay. Oh, even in the exam, when you read the word past argument, that means it will receive an argument. So what's the kind of the argument? Either float or double. So I'll use double X. So now I prepared everything. Will it return any value? No. So the type is void. Inside, I will write print, not print, we don't have print, cout a real number is okay, then X and ENDL. Do I need return? No, I don't need it. Why? Because the type is void here. All right, then I'll close the parentheses. Here I'll call it. Of course, when you call it, you have to call it by name, print, real, of. You have to pass an argument to it. So I'll pass 2.3, for example. I can call it, for example, double x or any number, a equals 2.56, okay? I can also use print real of a. Now I've called two times. Whenever I call it, it will go and pass the argument 2.3 to this. 1 second. The execution will be like this. New. Okay, the execution will be like this. First, it will define the function. Then, when I come here to execute the main function, it will find print real number. It will find this argument. It will pass this argument to x. So x is equal to 2.3. Then it will execute the cout. The real number is 2.3, and print this. Okay, and doesn't return any value. Goes back to the main function. It will find double a equal 2.56. Then print again. I'm calling the function again. It will pass a to the instead of x. The value of a instead of x. So let's execute it and see the result. This is the result. I needed to add some space here. Okay. Here's the result. The real number is 2.3. The real number is 2.56. I need to add here some space to make it better looking. Okay, so this is the result. You passed. The real number is 2.3. The real number is 2.56. Of course, you can pass any argument and you will get the result here. I think this is clear. I will again take the screenshot. I don't need this example program. Okay, it's okay. So this is the second type of the function. I'll put it here. All right, so we are done. Now we've completed two types of functions. The first function does not take any argument of type void and doesn't return any argument, go directly or goes back to the main function. The second type is, as you can see, I'm passing argument, I'm passing parameters here, but it is of type void because it doesn't return any value. Let's see the third type. Does not take arguments and return value. Okay, just like let us just think of an example while I'm explaining this. So this is the function. This is the main function. Okay, doesn't take any arguments. I'm not sending it any argument, but I get something from it. Okay, like any constant. Okay, when I call it, I can use or I can get some value from it. So let me think of an example. Okay, just reduce this size. Write a function that returns the value of pi when you call it. or when it's called, when it is called in the main function. All right. So I know you can define it as a variable, but it's just an example. Yani, you can define pi as constant value, but I'm just taking an example. All right, or giving an example. So in this case, the the function doesn't need to get any argument from the main function. All right, but when I call it, it will return some value. So in this case, I'll go here, write another code. Okay, I remove this one. I'll remove this one also. Okay, so I'll call the function get. Of course, the name of the function is totally up to you. You can give any name you feel comfortable with. So usually I like to use this convention, capital letter at the beginning of every word, and try to make it meaningful. All right, so get pi. Now, from the discussion we said, the function doesn't take any arguments, correct? So I don't need to pass any argument to the function. That means I'll leave it blank, but it will return the value of pi. All right. What's the value or what's the kind or the type of pi? It's the real number. So I think it's better if we use double. That means this function will return a value, a number of type double. So here, all what I'll do is just to return. Let's just find the value of pi. Value. Okay, so this is the 3.145, etc. Okay, I'll go back there. So return this value. Okay, or since you are at the beginning, then I'll define pi equals this one and return pi. It's up to you. Both are correct for me. Okay. Now again, how to call it? When I call it, I will not pass any argument, but I have to equate it with a variable. Then I have to define a variable, double x. Okay. Then x equals to get pi. The execution will be like this. Let's just print it. C out value of pi is x. Okay, so how this will be executed? Again, let's just take new screenshot and make things. All right, so here, first of all, I define this function, okay? And in the main function, double x, I defined a variable of type double, which is the name is x, then x equal get pi. When I call this, it will go there, okay? See, the type here and the type of the variable must be the same. Okay, these two types must be the two types have to be the same. There's no ways to say if double integer, you will get error. So here when I get pi, it will find that pi. There's an error, by the way, here. I didn't define pi here. Okay, so I have to define here double. So this type should be also double pi. I gave it the value, then return pi. See, there are three things that you have to take care of. Again, This type, the type of the variable, the type of the function, the type of the returned variable here should be also the same, 1, 2, and the type of the variable that I'm using to get the value, all right, must be the same. So the three things should be the same. Let's execute it and see the result. Error was not declared in the scope. All right. I got error. You know why? Because here get PI capital letter and here get PI small letter. All right. So that's why it's a different function for them. So let's run it again. Okay. See, this is the result. The value of pi is 3 point, etc. Now, if you want, of course, to use it, you can use it. For example, if you want to find the area of a circle, all right? Let's say double R equals 2. Area here, see out. The area of the circle is how to find the area of the circle. Everybody knows the rule. Pi r square, right? So that means get pi of times r. Yes, times r. See, I can use it as a number here. I don't need to define it. I can use it directly. I don't know if the compiler will allow me, but I'm sure it will allow me. Okay, let's try it and print r. Yes, I printed. So let's just execute it. See, the area of the circle is 12.5664 because I used pi here directly. Get pi times r, which is pi r squared, right? Do you have questions? Okay, then I'll give you this example also to go and check the fourth type. Okay. Now the fourth type is take arguments and return values. So this means the function here, okay, I'll pass argument to the function, okay, and get result from the function. This is the function, and this is the main function. As an example, write function that finds the sum of two integers from the main function and returns sum, okay, or the result. Of course, main, M-A-I-N, function, okay. So that means I have to create a function that receives two arguments, two integers, and return the sum of these integers. Also, I write it here. I'll remove this one. Also, I remove this part. Okay, so again, whenever I ask you to write a function, think of three things. First, what's the name of the function? I'll call it sum int. That means the sum of integers. All right. You can use any other name. It's up to you totally, as I told you. What arguments shall I pass? From the definition of the function, we can tell that the function receives two integers and returns their sum. So integer x, whatever the name is, I don't care. Integer y, but you will use them inside. Okay. Still, I have something missing. Now, what is the returned value? Now here, integer r equals x plus y, return r. What's the type of the returned value? Is integer, so this function is of type integer. Okay, so now I can use it directly. Integer a equal 5, b equals 7. All right, integer r. Of course, there's no relationship between this r and this r. Why? Because they are local variable. I'll call it s equal sum int of. I'll pass the argument 5, not 5, a and b. Then semicolon. Here print or cout the result is S. Now, can I call it in different way? Yes, of course I can call it in different way. I can call it directly here. Cout S. Anybody has a question? The second call or the result in the second call is, see how I'll call it here directly, SUMINT of, give me any number, 4, 8. You can call it directly, ENDL. All right, let's execute it and see the result. Okay, it happened that both numbers gave me the same answer because 5 plus 7 is equal to 12 and 4 plus 8 is equal to 12 also. So the result is 12. The result in the second call is 12. Now, how this worked? Again, let's take a screenshot and explain things. All right, I think we can increase it a little bit, zoom it. Okay. Just I want to zoom it a little bit. All right, so here, first of all, we defined this function, which needs to receive two variables, x and y. Okay, find the sum of these variables and return the value of r of the sum. That's why, remember that this is the first one, this second one, and where's the result? And this one should be of the same type. So when I called this function, I passed a. Focus here. A will go to x. Okay. First parameter will go to the first parameter. B will go to y. So what are the values here? 5. That means x equals 5 and b equals 7. So I find 5 plus 7 and return r will be returned to r. Then when I printed print s, it gave me the value directly. Now I can call it in different way here. I don't need to equate it like r equals sum integer, etc. No, I call it directly in printing, and I pass the argument also directly. You can use it like this. It's no problem because the programming allows you to do this. I'll give you another example. Not example, sorry, application. For example, here, instead of writing 5, you can write any expression, 5 times 3, all right? And 8 divided by 2. It will work. See? Come on. I think there's an issue with the internet. I'll cancel it. Yeah, there's an issue with the internet connection. Okay, don't worry, I copied it, then I run it. Okay, see now the result here. The result is 16. Why? Because here 4 times 3 is equal to 12, and 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. Then the passed argument are 12 and 4. The sum is 16. All right, so that's it for this. I also copy it. All right, I'll add it to. Okay, this is all for today. I will upload this file to you. Please go through it, go to the recording, check the point, and I'll send you during the weekend. I'll send you some assignment to work and some more examples to read, and as I told you, some assignment to work on it. All right, I'll stop recording now. 1 second.